Hello, and welcome to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 25. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and I'm joined, as always, by James St. Charles. How the hell are you?
Doing good. Can't believe 25 episodes. That's a big
insane.
milestone.
That's like a lot.
That's a huge milestone.
I'm impressed with us.
Yeah, you're committed.
I know we always say this, but did you think we'd get this far?
Absolutely not.
No.
But
not at all.
We did it.
We did it. We're going to keep going. James, I think in 75 more weeks, we're going to hit 100.
That's exactly right.
Maybe 76. Maybe we slip up on 1 week. Something happens.
Let's give us like 80. Let's just make sure.
All right, we'll give us 80. That's I like where your head's at. Because this is the 25th episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on youtube.com, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Once a week, we sit down and Skype across 500 miles to talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing. This week's topic is the best indie games we've ever played. If you like the show, remember to go subscribe, and every Friday, tune in for the Sidescape Game Report, where James and I break down the week's biggest gaming news stories. I had the first intro down, and ever since we've shifted the now game report, I'm almost there. I'm really frustrated.
There's too many interests.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I want to say though is that we just hit over 50 subscribers, and anyone who's watching and has not subscribed, subscribe.
Please do.
Because we're still pumping out content and got more to come.
Yeah, and we also have a Facebook page now, so go check that out, and you'll kind of get regular updates on the stuff we're working on. And we have now a schedule of shows because we are a part of a Volume 1, which is very excited. So,
yes.
Thank you for saying that. Now, James, I want to know what the best indie games you ever played. This, I think, is a great topic for both of us.
I picked like 5. One is a two-parter, but
okay.
We'll see.
I think we're going to have a lot of crossover, so I wrote down about 10, but I don't have to go through all of them. I can just give shout-outs and stuff. But yeah, tell me, who it is. And
I'm not going to order, but they're they're all different experiences. But you want me to start?
Yeah, start with one of them. Give me one. We'll go back and forth.
First one is kind of a well-known game. I wish they were going to make a second one, but definitely hit when it came out, like blew everyone away. Called Papers, Please.
Oh, I've never played Papers, Please.
Papers, Please is very fun.
Yeah?
Even though how I'm going to explain it right now, it's not going to sound fun, but it is fun.
Okay.
So basically, you're a guard at a station in like a Soviet era kind of place. It's fictional, but it's basically like Russia. And you're a guard, and everyone's trying to get into your country, and you have to check their passports. They always ask them for their papers, and then they have to make sure everything is right. So sometimes their height will be wrong, or their weight will be wrong, or where they're from is wrong, or they don't have the right permits. Ooh. And so you have to like explain to them, like you can deny them, you can approve them. And then there's like some dark stuff. There's like some underground cult that is trying to like overthrow the government that is helping you. So like there's different like finishes. You can like get money to like help feed your family, or you can like stay, loyal.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of undertones, but the main thing is just checking papers.
That sounds awesome.
If you really like scrutinizing stuff and like making sure everything is like perfect and lined up, this is that game.
You
can shoot people too.
So that's, I think, like my favorite part about indie games, and obviously it's becoming more of a norm in the gaming world. But I think because there's billions of indie developers now, and a new indie game every 5 seconds. But there was that period of time, and I'm pretty sure Papers, Please came out 5 or 6 years ago, right?
It's an old game, yeah.
Like that period of like 2007, kind of Xbox Arcade, the summer of arcade, like all the way through like 2014. It was like sleeper indies, which is like you got to play this game because it's doing something radically different.
That's what I like about indie, because they'll hit on a like one particular threshold that no AAA can hit.
Yeah,
which is beautiful.
Right.
So that's my first game.
No, it's great.
Papers,
I think it's
Please.
Great. I want to talk about probably the first indie game I played. One of them, Bastion, which is still to this day probably one of my favorite games of all time.
I didn't even put it on my list because I knew you were going to say it. That's how good it is.
Now, James, I'm going to be honest. I'm wearing my Supergiant shirt. Hold on, I just unplugged my headphones to tell you that, so I'll give you 1 second. We had technical difficulties. All right, there we go. I am wearing my Transistor shirt from Supergiant, who is a developer I love. Now, I didn't just write down Bastion, but I'll explain Bastion. But I also wrote down Transistor, Pyre, and Hades, because I love all of them. But Bastion, I think, is just such a spectacular game because it's that isometric, like top-down view, and it's almost, I wouldn't say it's a simple game, but the mechanics aren't difficult to understand. But what's really cool about it, and what I really love about Bastion, is its style. Like, there isn't another game like Bastion that does the like narration on top of it.
No.
And, the minute like the narrator starts speaking. He's like, the kid does this, and like you fall off the map and die, and he's like, the kid sees if he can survive this. He can't, and you're like, I love like stuff like that where it's the narration is because of what you're doing. It's not just there. Like that style that Bastion has is just awesome. And
was that really like one of the first popular indie games? Like I just remember like that one was like really
it was one of the first Summer of Arcade games for Xbox.
Oh, okay,
because it launched on Xbox. But yeah, I believe it was one of the first like major boom indie games. That and like Braid.
Yeah, I had Braid down.
Okay, talk about Braid because I've never played Braid as well.
Okay, Braid is. Oh, you haven't played Braid? Okay, Braid's good. It's basically a platformer, but it has this amazing mechanic that I've actually never seen done. Maybe one of the games done it since, but it was really impressive. So basically, if you jump down, let's say there's like a spike pit, you jump down there, and you hit it, and you die. You can reverse time and go back, but you can also like use that reverse time to like solve certain puzzles. So it's a puzzle platformer, and there's like ways that you can just like jump, reverse time, jump again, or like really cool mechanic. And the music is amazing. The music is just like, it's like you take the Hobbit soundtrack and you make it all nice, and that's what it is. And it's a nice little like sprite guy, red hair.
It's Jonathan Blow, the guy that made it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like just wickedly smart.
Just a really impressive game. So when I think Bastion, I think Braid as well, because those two games were like around the same time.
Well, it's that and then Limbo, and I'm not going to talk about
Limbo as well,
but I want to talk about their other game, Playdeads, later. But speaking on Jonathan Blow, another game that I recommend to this day because I think it's one of the most unique games I've ever played is The Witness. Which,
The Witness is very good.
I don't know if you had a chance to play The Witness, but
I've not, but I've seen it.
Okay, it's a grid-based puzzle system that adds like rules and different things in each of like the dungeons that then carry over into other dungeons. Like you'll see a symbol and that means you have to do something with the puzzle. Or like certain puzzles can only be visible in lighting or like perspective. And the way that game makes you think, to the point when I was playing it, I had a notebook with like the rules written down because like I was gathering information and I didn't want to look up anything. And it was just like the coolest thing. It's the most satisfying thing when you have no idea what to do and you're like looking around and you're like, oh my God, the sun is the key to like seeing these puzzles. And you're like, you feel like the smartest person in the world and that only you figured it out. But clearly that's just game development. But The Witness is fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah, a little pricey, but it's amazing.
A lot of indie games are puzzle games, but that sometimes like I need a good puzzle game. Like I try to think of like AAA puzzle games, and there's nothing that's just because you usually make it on a grand scale, like it's a part of your game. But when it's just the puzzle game, usually that's the indie games that are doing that because that's the niche.
Well, I think most like AAA games, as we talk about a lot, but they're these huge open world, third person, usually or first person shooters that are grand scale. And I love like the smaller stories you can get with an indie game, Like we played Streets Rage 4, which is technically an indie game, and that's just like
such an amazing indie game.
Yeah.
Which is, I hope that like that gets like another boost. Like people are playing this game. Some people, I guarantee people like I still don't know about it, and that's kind of sad. Cause I feel like it's a really fun game to play with a buddy.
Yeah, I agree.
Player co-op, just have a good time and enjoy the music, which is fascinating. The art style is really great.
Yeah, when you can take risks in an indie game, you can have an interesting style, right? Like I love that about indie games. Give me another one of yours.
So you were talking a lot about Supergiant. I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite indie developers, Ed McMillan, who's made Super Meat Boy. That was like the first game that blew up that they made. But I didn't write down Super Meat Boy because, frankly, Super Meat Boy is okay. It's not like my favorite. It's fun. It's hard. Binding of Isaac is my favorite though. I think we like those type of rogue type games, and I didn't play too much of the first one, but I played Rebirth, and Rebirth was amazing. And then they came out with Afterbirth and Afterbirth Plus, and this whole speedrunning community also spawned out of it. And they were like, Ed saw that, and like started making stuff for them. And the way this game works is you just go to different rooms. It's randomly generated what the enemies are. It's randomly generated like what items you can get when you go into certain rooms, and it's just a really fun game, like to go through all the way, like different levels, and it repeats. Like you go all the way to the end, you can go to heaven or hell. You defeat, the angel, or you defeat like. So there's like a really cool mechanics with it, and then you just keep playing it over and over again, and like it's a never ending game.
It's also got like the grossest, weirdest style, and I love that about it.
That's Ed's style though. That's why like he has a lot of interesting stuff, like when he thinks about like Super Meat Boy is also like you're a meat blob, and
getting chopped up by the
and then
slicers.
their enemy is Dr. Fetus, and it's a fetus head. Like it's just
so
to get it.
weird.
And he has a collective that he comes out with, like some of his first games that he made, and they're all wonky just like that. But I poured so much time into Binding of Isaac, and I thought it was definitely one of the best.
It's a great game that really spawned kind of that rebirth of the roguelike genre too.
All those Gungeon, Enter the Gungeon wasn't like similar. Maybe Dead Cells as well a little bit.
Dead Cells, they all came out a little later, but I mean, Binding of Isaac.
But definitely, I think they took some from that, like how that worked.
So a game that I want to talk about, I think I'm going to kind of combine a few of them because I think when we think of video games, often it's like the gameplay that's like really kinetic and frenzy, and like, you know, Binding of Isaac is like you're constantly moving around and fighting this stuff on the screen. But two games that really changed that for me were Journey by that game company and Gone Home by Fulbright. For those who don't know, that Journey, both these games I love. Journey, I think, is one of those games that's just beautiful from start to finish. It is 2 hours. It is in and out. It is just this beautiful tale of this, you know, creature. They don't even specify if it's a human or not, going from the base of a mountain all the way up the mountain for some reason. And it's about the journey and just the stunning imagery and the music, and it's haunting. And I really that game kind of came out of nowhere on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And really cemented them as like, no, we do indies at PlayStation.
That was PlayStation 3, correct?
PS3. Yeah, and it's one of those games that was spectacular. It's the same year that The Walking Dead came out, which is another really great game. Telltale, I mean, obviously they are indie as well. But then Gone Home did something very similar, where Gone Home is a walking simulator for all means, right? And
I love it.
Me too. You walk into a home, you are a girl coming back from like college, and you come back home and no one is home. And you kind of got to figure out why. And it's telling this whole story about kind of your sister and like where she is. And it's just this hauntingly beautiful game that you think is kind of going to be a horror game, and you think stuff's going to start popping out, and nothing ever does. There's whole segments that you can miss that talk about the family. And I mean, it's one of the games that has made me cry in my life. Like, just feel like, oh my God, like chills.
I have one of those on my list.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear about it.
Oh, no, are you sure you want to do it now? You don't
yeah. I mean,
okay.
I'm done talking about Gone Home.
Sorry. Okay. So another walking simulator, but also like a puzzle that I like, that I always recommend, but some people don't like it, but it's called Ether 1. It's like the Vanishing of Ether Carter, like that kind of style. But the underlying story of it, you just come to start the game. I don't want to spoil too much, but you start the game, you're just playing it like a normal game, like a normal puzzle type game, finding clues and all that. And then it like turns its head and gets really deep. And it basically deals with how the developer, I think one of the developers were dealing with like their mom or their parent who had dementia and were losing their memories. So the game is basically like you piecing together memories that you found and like trying to form like what happened, like with yourself. So the game is kind of like a mental exercise to like make you remember. And I thought it was really sad because you're like going through all these memories that they lost, but you found them and they're like really precious memories, and it was kind of sad. But a really deep game that you just can really get immersed in.
And what
There's
cool
a Redux
thing
version
that video games can do that can like make you. That's nothing.
A team that got together and they had one big problem that they were all dealing with in the real life, and they made it into a game to solve it. And I thought that's the beauty of gaming. Like if you have something you want to express, game is really perfect for that. A game
that's not even on my list because frankly I'm not a good platformer kind of video gamer, but Celeste
is very good. I love that too.
I mean, the story that it told was so you're much better than I am. But so for someone that deals with anxiety and depression, like that story, when I started to figure out what it was, I remember I paused like Celeste, and I was like, oh my God, this is about dealing with like your inner demons that constantly tell you can't do something. And like I like ran and grabbed my girlfriend Maddie, who's on does other side escape stuff, and I was like, this game's about like anxiety disorder and depression. And like I was like shaking. I was like, this is insane. Like that a game can do this, and like the whole mentality of you dying and having to start back up again. Like that's such like a mentality of that disorder. And I was like, they've managed to capture it in a really really
very much like that. Like, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. And you're like you're trying to like fight your inner demons, which is a really beautiful game. Yeah, really beautiful. Definitely a really good play.
Wasn't even on my list.
Like Super Meat Boy, but way harder.
Yeah, I struggle with Celeste. They actually added in a mode where you can just get through the story now, and I actually might go do that eventually because I died a lot in the end of that game.
Oh, it's a very good ending too.
That's what I've heard.
Maybe you should.
Okay, do you have any other games on your list?
I got a wacky one.
Give me a wacky one.
Super Hexagon.
Oh yeah.
That is this is as indie as it gets. It's a very, very simple concept game. You're basically a little triangle, you're moving around a hexagon, and you're avoiding objects coming towards you. And it's like, okay, that's simple, that's easy. You just left click. But then it gets crazy. Like, stuff's flying at you. It has one of the best chiptune soundtracks in all of history. Chipsoul, I think, is the artist. It's amazing. A beautiful soundtrack. And it does something really crazy. Like, the way you take this one concept and you flip it on its head, I think it's beautiful. Also, the developer who made it showcased the hardest level, which is, it's insanely fast if you look it up.
Okay.
The hardest difficult, the hardest fast. He showcased him playing it on a laptop on a Mac, beating it all the way through. And this is, I can't even, like, I'm still struggling with, like, the, I think, third hardest? Yeah, the third hardest, basically. I can't even get to the hardest difficulty.
That's crazy.
Which is just really, really fast stuff flying at you and you're trying to avoid everything. But it's fun. Because the music is great and you're trying to move well with it and stuff's flying at it. But that's a really, like, it's almost like Geometry Wars-esque. It's a really niche game with really simple objects, but it's fun.
It's a fun game, but it is probably the most boring game to watch someone play.
It's fun.
Yeah, but it's really fun. I'm just going to rattle off a few really quick that I had written down. We spoke briefly. What Remains of Edith Finch is an amazing walking simulator about a family that lives in a crazy house. Very cool style. Inside is the same developer that did Limbo. It's just this really great, side-scrolling platformer that's not super difficult, really stylized, with probably, in my opinion, the craziest ending I've ever seen in a video game that I still don't understand. You played Inside?
I actually have not played Inside. I love Limbo. Limbo is like one of my favorite.
Play Inside right now, James. That game's going to rock your world. I think it's better than Inside. Shovel Knight, which is a game that basically made me love indies.
Oh, Shovel Knight, yes.
I love Shovel Knight. Mega Man style Zelda 2 game that has great pixel art and great music. And then my last one was actually Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice that I played this year, which is technically an indie game, but now the studio is owned by Microsoft.
Oh,
and Senua's Saga.
Yeah. So it's in that area.
But it was an indie game when it was first released, and that game,
I think it's still fine. Yeah. Like when you were in an indie game studio and then you got bought up, that's like you made it, basically.
And so I really recommend that. I really want you to play that game, James, because it's
I keep forgetting. I got to play it now.
Yeah. One of those games. So, James, that was the best indie games you ever played. If someone had to play one of those games that you talked about, what would you recommend? Give me one of them.
I think Papers, Please is like one of those games that I recommend because it doesn't, like, you don't have to play a walking simulator. It's just a way different concept you wouldn't think you would like to play, but you'll get hooked right away. And you'll probably lose right away, and you'll want to play more, which is that's how this game works. Like, you can't really catch it all, but you can like choose your path kind of wisely once you figure out how things work. Yeah, but
I actually
sounds boring, but it's really fun.
I think I might pick it up and play it because that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's like a couple bucks. I think it's really cheap. Okay. I remember picking it up for like $3.
You may have actually bought it for me on Steam.
Maybe. I don't know if I was that good into it, but I might have.
You might have. I don't know. The game that I'd probably recommend, I think, is Gone Home, just because I think it's a different style of game that most people haven't played in a long time, and it'll really kind of touch you emotionally, I think, no matter who you are. So, James, before we end the podcast, what have you been playing?
We've been playing Streets of Rage 4.
We have been playing Streets of Rage 4. Whew, did we beat it? And then we went back and tried to beat it again, and we did pretty well.
I think going back, so basically you get characters and you can unlock them, and then you can unlock the old characters, and we went back and played with some of those in the new graphics with the old sprites. That was weird, but it's kind of fun that they did that.
It is. It's really fun.
That's a really like unique thing. But the story is like, you're fighting like the old people from the Streets of Rage. So you're fighting these, and then there's like, I don't want to explain like the boss ending, but basically Streets of Rage is a beat 'em up. Yep. We haven't really had beat 'em ups in a long time. It's fun. And it works really well. There's a lot of teamwork capabilities. It is just a blast. No, I think we had a really good time.
We've talked about with indies, but like the graphics and the music and that atmosphere like really make up for like the style of that game is so cool that the music.
Still can't get over it. The music is
even like if it's not my favorite type of game, which I'm really starting to like it more and more. But like when I first jumped in, it wasn't like my thing. The style and the music was so like evocative that I was like, I just want to keep playing it because it's so cool to look at. I think
we need to go to a barcade and play the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em up because it's just as fun. Yeah, those are fun stuff.
The old ones, yeah, those are good.
Yes.
Have you been playing anything else?
That's been I want to play Minecraft Dungeons, but I couldn't get it working. But now I do.
Which we'll be playing for this weekend because
I'm playing a little Risk of Rain 2. That's fun.
Okay.
not much there, but because I've been recently getting back to work, but I want to pick up some more. Like I want to definitely like hit up some indie games too. I feel like now I can get into it.
Yeah, the game that I've been playing that I forgot to talk about last week, and I was very disappointed. I got to play Iron Man VR, the demo for Iron Man VR. So when VR works, it is the coolest thing in the face of the world.
Yeah.
It is awesome. James, they made a game that makes you feel like goddamn Iron Man. How do you fly as Iron Man, James? You put your hands at your sides.
Yes.
How do you push yourself forward? You kind of move your hands back a little bit. That's what this game does. It just takes every motion and like how you move, and that's how you're flying around. You're sticking your arm out, you're shooting as Iron Man. I like that. It is so cool. And then by the end, like, the demo is probably 30 minutes. It's like a little training session and then like a mission. And of course, like the mission's not crazy. It's you're flying around a big space, and you're shooting alien trucks or whatever they are really. But just how you move, you start to feel like I am Iron Man, and you're flying around and like doing crazy pivots and stuff. The only thing that I think VR does really need to work on is just how to move like almost vertically, I guess, through a space. Of like when you have the index, obviously you're able to do the whole 360 view.
Yeah, because you have like the room, towers and stuff. Yeah.
PSVR does not have that technology, so you're hitting little buttons to kind of shift. Yeah, I think when they make another one. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, the way that it's light focused, the tracking gets like annoying. So it's like I want to be like turning my head like all the way the other way, and I can't like get to that way, so I hit a button to like
turn. Yep. So the headsets see like basically the PlayStation VR, the Windows Mixed Reality, the very first Vive. Those headsets are almost on their way out. Like the new generation, there was a new headset that was announced today, HP one. That was like in coordination with Valve. It's gonna be $600. Still not even the top end. Still like kind of mid tier. The index is still the very top. Yeah. And it's gonna be that way for like a year or two, from what I hear, until the next generation. There's like gonna be a big leap from what it sounds like. And PlayStation's revealed some stuff. They're working on their own knuckle controllers. So very exciting. You're gonna see some cool stuff, I think, with the prices going down and VR games coming out that are gonna blow your mind, just like Half-Life Alyx. But
I mean Half-Life Alyx and this Iron Man VR game, I was so impressed. I was like, I had a big grin. Maddie was in the other room and she could hear me going,
VR's fun though, right?
I'm Iron Man. I was like,
everyone needs to try VR. That's my philosophy. Like, I agree. Even if it's bad VR, it's good VR, if that makes sense. It's just being immersed in that world is like something else. One of the coolest VR things that I've done was on the original Star Wars Battlefront that EA made, like the new one. Mm-hmm. They basically had they had a VR mode where you flew an X-Wing. And it's the most surreal moment when I was flying the X-Wing, but you look around and you look behind you and the R2 unit is behind you. And then in the X-Wing, the cool thing is with VR that I know if you've played it, you can do it. You're not just looking like, in front of you. You can move your head and look up and like see different perspectives. And when I looked up and like you could see the Star Destroyer in like a different angle, I was like, oh, I'm like here. Like that made me feel here. It's very cool. It is one of those things, and it's so popular now. All the headsets are basically like double the price. Like anyone who wants VR right now, you can't. The index is like 16 weeks till if you can get one. Everything like consoles, everyone's buying up stuff to like
entertain themselves.
Free up, like interact with time. Like just have, like free up your time, spend your time, and games is that way, movies is that way. Like that's what everyone's doing. You're all locked up, so you have to like spend it somehow. And VR is one of those things that is just, it's very special, and you can see where it's going to be, like with all these games coming out. And I'm hoping companies really adopt to it. Like I hope in a year from now we're going to see a lot of like projects announced from big AAA companies that
I hope so.
They're going to really give it a shot.
I mean, hey, if Marvel's willing to do it with Sony, that's pretty big. So very exciting stuff. Well, thank you so much for watching episode 25 of the Stylized Gaming Podcast. This is James. I'm Jake. Have a great week.
See you next week.